baklava. It reminds me of Little Mermaid. I'm singing like that because this dessert took my breath and voice away like Ursula. Nope, I tried.
It's the Great Taylor C. Baker Show.
Hello and welcome back to the Great Taylor C. Baker Show. I am Taylor C. Baker, and I am baking my way through the Great British Bake Off technical challenges in hopes to live up to my namesake and become a better baker. And it is pastry week, y'all, and our technical challenge today is baklava, or as they say on GBBO, baklava, which makes me think of a volcano with baklava flowing down it. That would be a delicious natural disaster. So today we are making this Greek classic known for its very, very, very thin, tiny layers of FILO dough. FILO dough? FILO dough? FILO dough? I really don't know. So let's learn how to make it. So first up, we are going to make the infamous FILO pastry. And we're gonna need 2 cups of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, 1/2 cup of full-fat Greek yogurt, 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar, and 1 cup of corn flour. So for our FILO pastry, we're gonna sift our flour, baking powder, and salt into a mixing bowl and make a well in the center. In a separate bowl, we're gonna whisk the eggs, yogurt, vegetable oil, melted butter, and vinegar together until smooth. You pour the egg mixture into the flour and bring everything together to form a dough. Next, we need to tip out the dough onto a lightly floured work surface and knead for 10 minutes. Then we're gonna divide it into 6 pieces. Shape each piece into a ball, then place the balls on a plate, cover them, and let them rest for 15 minutes because they're so exhausted. Our beautiful FILO dough, our beautiful FILO dough balls are resting quietly. We're gonna let them rest for 15 minutes, and while they're resting, we can make our syrup. So for our syrup, we're gonna need 2/3 cup of sugar, 1 1/4 cup of runny honey, 1 large peeled lemon, and 1 tablespoon of rose water. We're gonna put our sugar, honey, and lemon slices into a pan with about 3/4 cup of water. Bring this to a boil over medium heat, stirring while the sugar dissolves. Reduce the heat to low and simmer for 5 minutes while the flavors infuse. Remove from heat and pour in a heat-proof jug. Stir in the rose water and leave to cool. So, as you saw, my syrup making was a bit of a sticky mess. Keep an eye on having that on high to get it to boil, because once it boils, it will boil over very quickly. And now we're going to make the magic of lamination. If you guys have been following along with me and you saw my Queen Ahmad episode, that has lamination with dough and butter, like a huge slab of butter. This does not have any butter. Instead, we are making the lamination in the layers with corn flour. So it's definitely just gonna be easiest for me to show you how to fold it instead of explaining it, because it's a lot of weird, very origami-ing. So let's go over here. So we're gonna do these one at a time. Roll out one of the balls of dough into about a 10-inch diameter, or about whatever the diameter of the bottom of your pan. Dust the top with corn flour. Fold the right hand edge to the center, then the left hand edge to the center, so they meet, sort of like a trifold board. Dust again with corn flour, then fold the top down to the center and the bottom up to the center. So we now have the square. Dust again with corn flour. Take each corner now of our square, fold them inwards like a cootie catcher. Raise your hand in the comments if you totally made cootie catchers. Take each corner, fold them into the center so they meet in the middle and make a smaller square. Dust again with corn flour, then repeat our cootie catcher maneuver, folding the corners in one more time into the middle to make an even smaller square. Now we're gonna turn the dough over so all of our little folds and joints are underneath. So those are, again, very exhausted from that process. So we need to let them rest for 15 minutes. And while they're resting, we are gonna go ahead and make our filling, which is super simple, crunchy, delightful, and yummy. So for our filling, we're gonna need 1 1/4 cups of finely chopped walnuts, 1 1/4 cups of finely chopped pistachios, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and 1 tablespoon of nutmeg. Add all of your filling ingredients to a clean, dry bowl. Whisk them together until fully mixed. We have made our filling. I kind of just want to eat scoops of this beautiful nut sugary mix. And we have melted a truly insane amount of butter. To be exact, 1 3/4 cup of butter. And now we need to assemble everything. We're going to roll them out one final time until they're the size of the bottom of our tin. Cut off the edges and one by one place them in the tin. It says to add the trimmings on top, so we're going to put the bottom layer, add the trimmings, put the second layer, add the trimmings, put the third layer, add the trimmings, and then in the middle, we're gonna add our beautiful nutmeg filling, and then we're gonna repeat the process, layer 4, trimmings, layer 5, trimmings, layer 6, bonus no trimmings, because we want it to be nice and smooth and flat on the top. Once we have it all assembled, we are going to cut it into an insanely elaborate star design. Once we make that crazy town cup pattern, we're gonna pour almost 2 cups, 1 3/4 cups of melted butter on top of our beautifully cut baklava. Allow it to sit for 10 minutes. So now that we have our buttery baklava ready and cut and beautifully prismed star-shaped, we are going to bake it at 325 for 1 hour until golden brown and crispy. Bye-bye baklava, bake well. Hello, golden brown angel. Doughy ASMR. Listen to the sizzle. So now that she's out, while she's still hot, we want to take our beautiful syrup, strain it, make sure there's no lemon seeds or the pulpy lemon in there, and then pour it over top of our baklava while it is hot. We're gonna let it sit for 15 minutes so that it gets nice and soaked in. I think I did it! I am pretty jazzed about how this turned out. It's very floral. The rose water really comes out in this. And maybe it's just so strong in mine because my syrup mixture boiled over and got all over the counter before I added the rose water, so maybe there's not enough honey. But I digress, let's give her a try. That's laminated, y'all. That, I feel like, is lamination. It's very good. Like I said, very rosy. I think I would probably half the rose involved in this. Very delicious, very fun to make. My first time doing FILO dough. FILO? Ay, man. I got it. Thank you so much for watching the Great Taylor C. Baker Show. Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along with all of my baking misadventures. And I invite you to bake along with me if you bake any of the recipes from my show. Please tag me at Taylor C. Baker and use the hashtag #BakeWithBaker. Bake with Baker, so I can follow along with your adventures in the kitchen. Cheers.
It's the Great Taylor C. Baker Show.